Okay, so you'll take the piece of paper with the scientific method and folded hamburger style. Where you can see the variable stuff, it's written upside down. That's on the inside. And then you want to fold it again. Where you just see the word scientific method and flip it over, it's blank. This is how the notes are going to go into your notebook. But to write on them, you can go ahead and unfold them. The side that you start on will be on the scientific method side. If you are absent, you will just write these notes in your notebook without this piece of paper. Now, if you're in class, that's where you'll use the piece of paper. I'm going to go through the slides and you'll fill in the blanks. So you won't have anything for this first scientific method. The first one that you'll have will be when you open up the book. If you leave it as a book, you'll have the definition of scientific method. Now, if you are leaving the worksheet full, it's in this little corner down here. So either way. So I'm going to click over to the slides. You will fill in the blank as we go through this and then glue it in your notebook. If you need to pause this video at any time, that's fine. Okay. So the instructions, it kind of tells you where to put this notes at. Don't write this in your notes. The directions that tell you all you're doing is filling the blanks. If it's blue, that's what you're writing down. Again, if you're at home, or if you're absent, you'll write this in your notebook. Now, this should be in your notebook on page 43. Okay, scientific method, steps that are followed during an investigation to ensure information gained is true and accurate. So go ahead and write true and accurate on those blanks. Now, we have used scientific methods before. If you were in class since the beginning of the year, we used it with the paper airplanes, and we've taken notes on them. You have it on page 3 in your notebook, and then our investigation started on page 8 through page 11 in your notebook. And we did a couple of labs on them on page 6. We created a flow chart and answered some questions about scientific method. So this is our second review over this, and we'll use this in an experiment that we have later this week. Okay. Now the next section, we're going to go over these steps. First step is identify the problem and make an observation. Identify the problem, make an observation. Then and this is usually done in a question. So on that pink worksheet last week, we practiced writing out that question. Then you are going to do your background research. You can research information online. You can research information that you can get that's close to the experiment that you're already doing. And you want to create the hypothesis. This is written in an if-then statement. And if you remember, we practiced this on that pink worksheet from last week. Number 4, step 4, test and collect data. Step 5 is to analyze data. Step 6 is to make a conclusion and report the results. So you definitely want to make sure you're reporting your results after you run your experiment. Let other people know what results you got from this. Okay? You'll want to open up your worksheet if you left it folded. And again, at home, you're just writing this in your notebook. So you're on the back of the paper in that upper left corner. Don't write that part in your notes. What you are going to do is you're going to fill in the blanks on this. So for the variables, you have a manipulated or independent variable, a control variable, and a responding or dependent variable. So again, we have gone over variables quite a bit. We went over them on the first semester, and we're going over them again. We're going to find our variables in the experiment that we'll do later this week and review over them. Use that to review. So let's look at independent variable first. Go ahead and write independent variable in the blank. And for this part, we're going to write 2 sentences for this variable. So hopefully you've become a little bit familiar with this definition. The independent variable is what the scientist changes in the experiment. And the independent variable is found on the x-axis. So last week we took notes of our independent and dependent variable, started on page 38, had some examples on 39 and 40, and then graphed them on page 42. Then you have a control variable. This is everything else that could be changed but is not changed in the experiment. So these are the things that you want to keep the same. If you change them, you would skew or mess up your data. So you want to make sure that you aren't changing everything in the experiment. You're just changing the independent variable. Okay. Then our last variable is dependent variable. Go ahead and write those. Write dependent in the line. We're going to write about 3 sentences for this. Not really sentences, but 3 things for dependent variable. Again, hopefully you have gotten familiar with this definition. This is the variable that is observed because of the change to the independent variable. This variable is found on the y-axis, and it's usually the easiest variable to find. It's the variable being measured. So once you have this filled in, hold it back up to where you can see scientific method, and you need to see that again. So here was your last variable. Hold it down, hold it over, and this is going to go in your notebook on page 43. Glue it in there, and then you will have the notes for scientific method. Right. Very good.